here frequently, you know that the Hard Zone is a talk show where we feature a team of panelists from different political institutions, different political persuasions.
Free land of liberty.
Stick on the issue, I beg you, please. Let's stick on the issue.
For our politics. Politicians used to live up to their
The big government is not a solution to the problem.
Let me say this. I hear somebody saying, well, the country don't get money. Look, every country in this world that God has created on this earth has money. It depends on how the leader is innovative.
Not good judgment. Okay, to be commingling, to be meandering with a man who has recently been found guilty of committing a serious crime, right? You can appreciate him all you want, but it sends the wrong message. That
you can also Joseph, let me talk. Let me talk.
We do not have strong drug laws on our books.
If I gave you my district, what you want to? You want my
Motherfuckers will come and tell you to vote for one person when the person get it and they tell you say the person not good. All of them confused.
Yeah, I'm getting younger because we are in power now. And when you're in power, it comes with certain grades.
They come me with their fake smile. All acting and are so fly. They won't use you, confuse you, and mislead you. They will promise when you vote them, they frustrate you. They already say you so go. Don't for your friend, let them move. They already say you rebel. Don't for your friends for their choice. Oh. They already say you so go. Don't for your friend, let them move.
Tonight, I'm playing host. My name is Derek Yale, and let me check in with my co-host, Mr. David Takbe. Mr. Takbe, welcome to another episode.
So Derek, thank you. It's always good to be on the Hard Zone.
Brother, vote for your future. Mama, vote for your future. What do you want to? If I gave you my future, what you want to?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you're joining us from, let me welcome you here to the Liberia Radio and Television Network. And if this is your first time being on this network, the Liberia Radio and Television Network is a local media institution right here in Northeast Philadelphia, and we also have our office open in Liberia for business as well. So please do us a favor and check us out on Facebook, or YouTube, Instagram, and other social media platforms at Liberia Radio and Television Network. And also, you can check us out on our webpage, lrdn.net, for breaking news and developments in Liberia and the diaspora. Tonight, the LRTN is proud to present episode 3 of season 6 of the Hard Zone. And the Hard Zone is an opinion-based talk show where we feature a team of independent thinkers, political panelists from different political institutions and different political persuasions. And here on the Hard Zone, we dub ourselves as no gimmick, no fluff, just real talk. Very shortly, we will introduce our panelists for this episode. But before we do that, let me provide a disclaimer. All of the opinions and positions that will be offered on this podcast tonight is that of the individual panelists that will be offering them, and not the official position of the network. My name is Derek Yale. I will be playing host tonight. Alongside me is my co-host, Mr. David Takwe. So let's check in with Mr. Takwe. Mr. Takwe, welcome to episode 3, season 6 of the Hard Zone.
Thank you, Derek, and good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Wherever you are, any part of the world. It's good to be here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Takwe. And guys, if you're watching us right now from YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, please do us a favor. Share this program on your individual social media page, and also make sure you're following this network. And we ask of your participation on this podcast tonight. And you can do so by commenting in the comment sections and just following the discussions as we will have them brought to you. So now we have our panelists in the back, and we have a jam-packed show for you tonight. But before we get into all of that, let me just give you a highlight of what to expect on this podcast tonight. We will, as always, bring you our current events from Liberia and then the diaspora. And after that, we will introduce our panelists for this episode. And then after, we will get into discussion surrounding Liberia. For this episode, we'll follow our open panel discussion format. So we will have our panelists telling you things that interest them in Liberia or the diaspora this weekend. Then we'll have our discussion. And obviously, I do have some questions on issues relating to Liberia and the diaspora as well. So I'll be juggling the minds of our panelists tonight. So stay tuned. It's going to be a very interesting conversation. Right after that, we will take a break, and then we'll come back. We'll get into the concluding part of the program, and then after we'll take our leave and draw the curtain to this episode. With that being said, let me go over to Mr. Takwe for our current event in Liberia, and then right after I'll bring you the current event in the diaspora. But again, before I do that, let me remind all of you watching us to please share this program on your Facebook, Instagram, and also make sure you're following the network. Again, this is the Liberia Radio and Television Network, episode 3, season 6 of The Horizon. But let's go over now to Mr. Takwe for the current event coming out of Liberia.
Thank you, Derek, and thank you, everyone. And Derek, I'd like to begin on a very sad note. A young man, only identified, say, just a few days ago, no, a few hours ago, maybe 48 or 72 hours ago, killed himself on Johnson Street. And guess why he killed himself? He killed himself because he said his mother doesn't love him. The mother loved his younger brother than she lost him. Based on that, he killed himself on Johnson Street. And in fact, he was a career mechanic working for a Lebanese, a garage being run by a Lebanese businessman. So say he killed himself in his room, he hanged himself in his room, and because he said his mother loved his younger brother than loved him. So because of that, that's why he killed himself. Now his body is has been deposited at one of the funeral homes, Penny Berry. Another thing, Derek, that has been trending, in the headlines in Liberia is that Yeket Calabar. Quite recently on Tuesday, to be specific, Yeket Calabar was in the headlines. That because he had earlier promised that he would have disrupted the normal sitting of the national legislature, the House of Representatives specifically, if he received his just benefits. So Tuesday, he went to work and was stopped by the sergeant at arms from entering the chambers of the House of Representatives. And the sergeant at arms was instructed, according to the reports, by Deputy Speaker, the Deputy Speaker who was Thomas Fowler of the Opposition Coalition for Democratic Change. So Yeket Calabar, recent time, has been speaking a lot about what happened to him. In fact, he said if the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Fanade Kofa, continues to disturb him or reducing the public ridicule, he will continue to disrupt the regular session of the House of Representatives. So the matter is still pending. In fact, Yeket has formed an anti-Joseph Boakai movement, and the former ruling coalition for democratic in the CDC has joined that movement to help Yeket to be very, very critical of Joseph Boakai and this government. So the CDC is part of the anti-Joseph Boakai movement that has been established by Yeket Calabar of most of our candidates. Another thing that's trending in Liberia, Derek, I believe you must have heard that President Boakai has suspended 3 officials of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, DEA, the LDA. Officials of the DEA, Fadiga and Abraham Praman and others, they have been engaged in turn of wrangling. In fact, they've engaged in physical fight, most especially Abraham Kroman and Fadiga, they've quite recently engaged in physical fight. Nobody knows, in fact, since Fadiga was appointed, Abraham Kroman appointed for them to head the DA, they've been having a lot of controversies, and up to now, no one knows why they continue to have controversies and they are not able or capable of working together in peace and harmony in the best interest of the fight against narcotic substances in Liberia. And so, in fact, President Ouattara suspended them until the ongoing investigations are concluded. In fact, they've been suspended without pay until the investigations into the circumstances surrounding their internal ranking of fighting can be concluded. And so, as we speak, 3 officials of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency are serving an indefinite suspension until the ongoing investigations are ended. And Derek, members of the Liberian Senate, headed by Yomli Kanka Lawrence of Grand Bassa County, that are currently in Grand Bassa County, in the City of Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. They are there, Derek, for a 3 or 4 day retreat. A retreat is where the senators will compare notes, will strategize, and will come up with new policies, most especially concerning the county development funds. We'll talk about the county development funds, how the government can go about the county development funds. You remember, the county development funds were introduced in the region of former President Ellen Johnson, so they were certain portion of the national budget were allotted to various counties for development purposes. But those fundings or those monies were allegedly squandered by the officials of those counties, most especially, in fact, lawmakers of those respective counties were accused of conniving with the local authorities to squander or misdirect those funds. I mean, the county development funds that were intended to undertake development projects in their respective counties. And so, it's one of the reasons why the members of the Liberian Senate are in Buchanan, the post of Buchanan, to discuss those matters and to look at some other workings or activities of the national legislature, specifically the Liberian Senate, in the best interest of the country and the legislature. So there are so far, those are some of the major trending issues in Liberia.
Thank you very
Derek,
much.
are you there?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I was on mute. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, thank you very much for that splendid reporting on our current events coming out of Liberia. And just before we transition over to the current event here in the diaspora, let me again encourage all of you watching us to please make sure you're sharing this program on your social media pages. And for our current event in the diaspora, I'd like to begin with here in the U.S. Yesterday, the First Lady of the Republic of Liberia, the wife of His Excellency President Joseph Yeman Boakai, was at the Wool Services in Philadelphia, where she met with a host of Liberians and had discussions on several issues. But to get more update on that development, make sure LRTN was present to cover that event. So make sure you check us out on our Facebook page for live coverage of the first Lady of Liberia visit to Wool Services in Philadelphia, PA. Moving on to other developments, to South Africa. I don't know if you've been following South Africa case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. So several other nations have joined South Africa in that case. So just to give you an update on that, December 29, 2023, South Africa files a case against Israel at the ICJ, alleging that Israel military campaign in Gaza amounts to genocide. Between January 11th to the 12th of 2024, asked CJ to hold his first hearing for provisional measures. The court has to decide whether it has jurisdiction if the alleged acts could potentially fall under the scope of the genocide treaty. As of today, Al Jazeera is reporting that several other countries have joined South Africa in signing that, joining South Africa in that case. And those countries include Nicaragua, Belgium, Colombia, Turkey, Libya, Egypt, Maldives, Mexico, Ireland, Chad, Palestine, and Spain. And Spain just declared intention today. Moving on to other development in Korea. Yesterday, Korea concluded is a Korea Africa Summit that started June 4th. And the participants included delegations from African countries and related international organizations, key figures from Korean and international business communities, academia, civil society groups, and the press. And of course, the president of Liberia were in attendance with his delegates. And they, according to the Executive Mansion Facebook page, are expected to return to the country by June 8th. The summit was under the slogan, "The future we make together, share growth, sustainability, and solidarity." And topics of common interest to both Korea and Africa, including industrial development, trade expansions, strengthening food and mineral security, and response to the climate change, were addressed at the Korea Africa Summit. We will be having a discussion on that, on what we receiving. It has been reported that 23 African nations benefited from that summit. So we'll be having discussions surrounding that. With that being said, that's all I have for you today in our for our current event folder from the diaspora. And at this junction, I'd like to welcome our panelists for this episode, and then we'll dive right into our discussion. While we are having our panelists on the screen, again, let me urge all of you watching us to please share this program on your page. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you're following this network on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Again, guys, this is our panel. These are our panelists for this episode: Bishop Reeves, Mr. Boda, Mr. Dennis, Bishop Hager. Let me just go to you guys one at a time to introduce yourself for this episode. I'd like to start with you, Mr. Boda. Welcome to episode 3, season 6 of The Hard Zone.
My pleasure for having me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dennis, welcome to another episode.
Thank you, and welcome, fellow panelists. Hopefully we'll have a good, productive show here tonight, and I look forward to it. Thank you.
The People's Bishop Hager, welcome to episode 3, season 6 of The Hard Zone.
Well, I'm very grateful to be here tonight. I'm here for a fruitful discussion to learn from each other for the betterment of Liberia.
Bishop Reeves, welcome.
Thank you for having me, and like always, it's a pleasure. Bishop Hager, I like your hat. It's nice.
Oh, they had the rescue hat.
It's the I thought you were say I thought you were say the purple hat, but I wasn't expecting that. Anyways, tonight, guys, we're gonna have a open discussion, and of course, I wanted us to talk about the Liberia and participation in the Korea Africa Summit. But I'd like to start by giving you guys the opportunity to talk about what got you interested, what interested you in Liberia politics this week or the week prior. So after that, yes.
Gary, it seems that we have two sets of panelists. The election panelists and the post-election panelists.
I think the panelists.
Yeah, some of the faces I'm seeing here were wearing around during the heat of the campaign.
People.
Mr. Boda, Reverend Reeves, Reverend Yimika, and they were the campaign politicians. So today I'm seeing new faces, most especially the guy who is bearded, the guy with a long beard.
So who are you calling campaign people? What's wrong with you?
That's why I want you to expand. Do you want me to give the specifics? I don't know.
I showed up before. I was here before the campaign. I was here during the campaign, actually.
Oh, okay.
Look, I was not running any campaign, so just watch your words.
I just want to pull your leg very resource and see that you pull your legs.
Well,
no, you pull my legs, you'll be shocked what you get back.
Well, interestingly, Bishop Hagar is very quiet after David said that. You see, did you like take the shot David shooting, or were you like a campaign politician, or Bishop Hagar?
I was not a campaign, but I was
not you, Bishop Reese. Bishop Hagar is not usually this quiet when issue like this is raised, and I don't know if he feels that David is talking about him. Is there any truth to it, Bishop Hagar?
Well, David, thank you very much. We all came here campaign. We have to promote Joseph Boakai, the excellence that won. We're here to continue to promote the government. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you very much. You know what? Let me start with you. Whatever call your interest in like broad politics or the diaspora this week, let's hear you.
Well, listen, I just really want to appreciate all the Liberian people for continuing to be peaceful, law-abiding people. The country has a lot of problems. The president is working. I really want to make emphasis on the visit. A lot of things been happening behind back door. We had this wonderful meeting with the African Development Bank where our finance minister, Boyman Kamara, represented the president there in Nairobi. It was a very important meeting. A lot of good results for Liberia that will be transferred into some tangible development on the ground. We can't announce everything, but Liberia is making some real great progress. We are gaining again our reputation of a serious, a competent government. We were in South Korea. Liberia and South Korea has a very important relationship. For the record, I want you all to know in 1965, when Liberia was a very promising, one of the fastest growing economy in the world, South Korea was nowhere. And our president at that time, Totman, actually granted South Korea $10 million. So where we are today, we know that the Korean people, the president met with the president of Korea. I believe there are a lot of good initiatives going to be taking place to help Liberia to get out of this economic quagmire that the former administration put her in. I want the Liberian people to be continually resilient, to be, united, to be courageous, to continue to work hard. No nation will move forward if the people are get laying back and expect government to do everything. The government do not have, and I will still maintain the resources. Why am I saying so? Our budget just nearly $800 million. And I will say to everyone who know about country, any country that have a national budget of $800 million means that you are very, very, very poor.
Bishop, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't want you to go on to other topic before I forget to ask you this question. Now, what have the Liberian people just heard from you? The people that are subjected to abject poverty. You started off, the government is working, the government is doing a lot of things in the back, and then you want them to say, we can't tell you all of it. What is it they can hear from you today to give them some type of hope that Boakai is working? What is he doing exactly that will benefit them personally?
Well, that's a very good question. You see, in governmental negotiation, so many things have to play in. Technical meeting, feasibility meeting, all that thing go into place. So what I'm saying to the Liberian people is that rest assured your government is working. And I promise you, you will see deliverable. You see tangible evidence of development, of progress in not too long from now. The government is committed, the president is committed, making things to make the life of Liberian people easy. If you want me to give you the laundry list of everything, this show will just be very
not me.
We are covering, we have a platform, you know, the arrest platform. Every resource that we are gathering is going towards agriculture, is going towards improving our infrastructure, is going to creating jobs among our young people. All those things, I can't name them, but we have a platform, the arrest platform, and we are catering every resource into that direction. Fighting corruption as well.
Thank you very much, Bishop Hagar. Let's hear from you now, Mr. Dennis. And I will come back to you with more questions, Bishop, but let's hear from the other panelists. Mr. Dennis.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of piggyback off of what Bishop Hagar is saying. Look, the government of Liberia, and I'm not Joseph Boyka fan, I'm no UP fan, okay? But it's been in power for 5 months. And let's face it, Liberia has a lot of competing priorities. Electricity, water, education, health, and so forth. The budget is $800 million. I mean, let's face it, man. Jay-Z walks around with that in his socks. That's not a lot of money. So the question that we all need to ask too here in the diaspora is, what are we doing to help this government? Because we're not doing nothing. Liberia does not have the capacity to produce with the current human capacity in Liberia. So we all have a part to play. And that's the reason why I think I'm on this show, if I can add my voice and add some of my own expertise to the process. I love the country. I don't want to be caught in America when I'm 65 and headed towards the nursing home, because that's what happens. When corporate America no longer needs you, they retire you to a nursing home and where you can't even afford it. So if this is what we want while we're in America today, is this where you want to be when you retire? I got some bad news for you, man. It's going to be very miserable. So I hope we can all come together and stop making this thing political and tribal and make Liberia work for all of us today and in the future. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Two things I heard from you. One, you just reiterated Bishop Hagar kind of sort of complaints or excuses that the government don't have enough money. $800 million, I mean, it's not enough budget to target some of the key priority. Now, the reason I'm asking, and you also said that you think the diaspora Liberians should be able to help the government in that regard. Now, my question is, how much can the diaspora community contribute towards that budget? And the second thing, instead of the second question is, what is the government of Liberia doing, His Excellency President Joseph Yema Boakai, to up that budget of $800 million? Why aren't you calling on the government to give the Liberian people specifics on what he is doing to make sure that the budget can increase for him to carry on more developmental agenda?
Okay, first of all, I'll deal with what the diaspora can do. So if you look at the problem from just a purely economic perspective, not take the emotions out of it, take the politics out of it. In order for a country to grow its economy, you need to increase revenue. And one way you can increase revenue is through increasing your tax base. Right now, this government, even when they say $800 million, quite frankly, they don't even have the funds to fund that budget. So what the diaspora can do is, for those of us who are here in this country, we know we sit here every day thinking, man, my job is miserable. I want to go home. We can start building. We can start a construction boom in that country that will help increase the tax base. That's what the diaspora can do. The older Liberians who are here, who are sitting now in the nursing home and stuff like that, they will have a much better life if they're at home with their friends and family. And you could, from that, you could create another home health care aid businesses in Liberia. That will help increase the tax revenue. You can't have a nation of unemployed people and you try to raise your budget that way. You cannot. It's not possible. Okay.
Well, I will come back to you. I have an additional question on that, but let me hear from Mr. Boda and then Bishop Reese, and then I will come back to you on that. Mr. Boda, talk to us.
Thank you, Derek. I think very often we Liberians are very good at talking, giving you all the sweet spot that you want to hear, and we're good talkers, and we don't perform the way we should. We keep talking about government. Yes, government is doing her best, but if you look at your population, like we all say, 5 million people, and out of the 5 million people, probably you got about less than, you got good maybe 20,000 employees that can sustain our economy. Is that what you're looking for? Monrovia is the only economic base of the country right now. You go to the rest of the sub-political division, there's no job, there's nothing, people cannot earn anything. So the budget is just imaginary or something projection made that we're going to make 800 million this year. We assume to make 800 million to support our country. We don't even have, there's enough physical money that you have sitting somewhere that you say, hey, I got this 800 million. That's just a proposed budget that you hope that your revenue can give you that. We're not even sure if we can meet that budget. So there are a lot that say the diaspora, especially we in the diaspora, got the earning power. So we need to be championing our industry. Small businesses producing minimum, like the juices, everything in Liberia is being imported into the country. So we have the power to create small business industry in Liberia. Go to the sub-political division, create small jobs. If you're giving people $50, $100 here and there at the end of the month, you boom the economy because you're getting the economic power to purchase, to move around. But we're not doing that. But here we stay in the diaspora, complain every day. We got all the PhD, we got all the ideas, we put it on paper or we talk about it. But we're not putting anything into actual practical work to see on the ground. But we'll find excuses. All we say is, oh, the country is not good. But yeah, we'll talk about the Lebanese, the Indian, the foreign nationals. Go there, they live there now. They take all the economy. But yet we sit in our comfort zone and complain. So how do we move the economy? It's us Liberians have to champion the economy, move ahead, move in the sub-political division and do something. We can't just be talking. If you've been to Marshall, I don't know if you've ever been there. We are in the diaspora building in Marshall. There is no plan for anything in the diaspora that we're building houses like we're building in Newtown and wherever. And we from the diaspora. We're not even holding government accountable and say, look, we need water line, we need this, we need public spaces. Nothing is done. You're building in Marshall, I can assure you in the next 10, 15 years, Marshall will be jailed Oro, Chubo, and whatever you think of. And we talk about in the diaspora, we live in a civilized society where we find all this good stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Boda. Let me ask you this question. I was going to ask to Mr. Dennis because he seems to highlight some of the points he made, or how diaspora Liberian, correct me if I'm wrong, should prioritize taking businesses to Liberia to help the economy. Now, may not be an expert on business, but I know you have a product, you will need to sell that product, and you also need to make profit. Now, my question to you now, with the unemployment rate in Liberia under 3%, illiteracy rate over 60%, are you sure that diaspora Liberian that would take your suggestion will be able to profit given the current economy in Liberia?
Yes. Why not?
How?
There are products in Liberia that local products that can boost the economy.
Mm-hmm.
So the people are going to produce a product, they're going to be paid, they can use the same money you're going to pay them, and they're going to buy your product.
The people that are not working going to buy your product.
What? But that's
can
not.
Can I come in? Can I say something there?
Yes, go ahead, Bishop.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had a friend, I can't call his name. He went to Liberia. He was in corporate America. He got involved in cocoa farming in Babulu. Over 1,000 acres. I saw in the news that he has an investor scheme in Liberia now, and he's about to start exporting cocoa on the U.S. market. He found out over 600 Liberians were being fully employed. They brought in some machine. It was very difficult. I spoke with him when I went to Liberia. Very difficult. The land business, the tribal people gave him difficulties, all kinds of politics. But finally, he managed to secure, and his investment is about to start paying some dividend. I learned there are other people investing in other areas. The diaspora, we have the capital. We have the capital. Liberia economy need a boost from the diaspora for us to invest in areas like agriculture, like tourism. We have one of the best ecotourism in the world. We have 57% of the forests of West Africa. A lot of plants in Liberia, you can't find it anywhere. A lot of animals, they need to create the hotels. the infrastructure to receive guests from outside. Those young people
Bishop,
will work in the hotels, in the hospitality business. So that the area we're talking about.
Bishop Hager,
Thank
you listen. What is the role of the government of Liberia to make sure that these businesses that you want to go to Liberia will have an environment where they will succeed? I want you to tell the Liberian people what is the government of Liberia. But actually, let me before we get into the discussion in depth, let me hear from Bishop Reeves first, and I will come back to you. Just keep the question in mind.
And Derek can have a question maybe similar to yours.
Yes, but let me give Bishop Reeves the opportunity to make his point first, because he's been sitting for a while now. Bishop Reeves.
I'm not hearing you, Derek.
You're on mute.
Well, I think, and I'm very emphatic about what I'm about to say. I strongly believe that the shift for Liberia can take place through the diaspora Liberians. I come to the States every 3 months. 3 or 4 months I come to America because of the nature of my work. Okay. But every time I come, I spend time talking to Liberians who live in the diaspora. And I've come to realize that it is only the diaspora Liberians that will be able to help to cause a shift in our country. Number one, they're going to bring exposure to the people because they're from Liberia. They lived in Liberia and they've moved over to the United States or other parts of the world. They are able to speak the language that other people cannot speak. So they, and in fact, let me not say they, let me say we, because I lived in the diaspora for over 20 some more years, and I'm back in Liberia. And it took me some time to be able to study not before, because I'm not going to look at my uncle or my friend or my brother that's been in Liberia before 1990 and still think that he is that same person. No, if I just come back and I begin to give him money to do business for me, a lot of unthinkable things will happen. And we have a lot of stories of people who have come back and just trusted their friends, trusted their relatives to do business, and they eat their money. I've seen people lost $30,000, $50,000, and all of that. We know the bad stories. We know also we have some good stories. But what I'm telling you right now is that the diaspora Liberians, once we start to engage the private sector, we will be able to make an impact. Now, the government of Liberia also need to play a part in creating the environment for diaspora Liberians to do what they need to do. And one of the things that I can say when I came back to Liberia, because of the nature of my job, I created a lot of opportunity to remove red tapes for diaspora Liberians, those who are coming back. By the grace of God, I can tell anybody right now that I have access to this country. And because I have access to this, regardless of what government is in power, I have access to Liberia. I'm a Liberian. And my job now is to help the diaspora Liberian to get what they need to get. All right. And I believe that when we start having our small businesses engaged in farming and so many other things, real estate and tourism, and we start engaging in these things little by little, the country will move fast. And my last point, my prayer is that as some of us are here with the influence that we have, we will push the government. We will push whatever government is in power so that the diaspora Liberians will be able to take root finally and take hold of our country.
Thank you very much, Bishop Reeves. Let me come back to you because Bishop Reeves, you stress actually let me stay with you, Bishop. You stress a point which I've been wanting to hear the answers to on the government role in providing the environment. Now, if I'm a business owner and I'm going to Liberia to invest in Liberia, obviously I may move my family there. I may stay there for a period of time. Now, I don't need to be in close circle with the government to feel safe, to have access to good health care, just in case in the case of an emergency, and also just security wise. So when you say the role of the government to provide that environment for business to succeed, you say the government needs to do it. What I'm looking for, what is the government doing now to take care of those things so that that investors can feel safe in Liberia to invest more in Liberia? What is the government doing?
Okay, so right now I see that they're trying to work in the area of security, of safety. Okay, I can't overemphasize what the police are doing right now in Liberia. That's I really admire what the police is trying to do in Liberia right now. They're trying to bring order. The first thing is we need order. Okay, I can drive from my house in GSA on GSA Road and go all the way to town. Now I can pass through red light as many times as I want because the police are working around the clock. They're making red light safe. They're working around the clock. I can stand up on Macklin Street and look down Waterside because they've cleared the streets. They're working. I see them almost every block. You will find a police officer. I'm only speaking for Montserrado, Monrovia, because that's where I'm at now. I don't know what's going on in the counties, but that's just one. When it comes to safety, they're working.
Thank you very much, Bishop Reeves. David, you had a question. Let me give you the opportunity.
Yeah. You know, past governments, most especially Sharif government, the Riyadh government, they repeatedly challenged Liberians to take the economy into their hands, from the hands of foreigners into their hands. But unfortunately, the foreigners are the ones who own the businesses, who are the ones who are employing unemployed Liberians. And people have always said that Liberians are not succeeding in business because they don't know business. For example, these aliens come from the countries empty-handed, and just in few months, few years, they are wealthy. They are succeeding in businesses. What happened to the Liberians? Yeah, that's a question people have. Why are Liberians always focused on government, wanting jobs from government? Even those who left government, the legislature, and the ministerial position, they stay pursuing government jobs and not investing in the economy. But if aliens come and they take over the economy, they succeed in business. The Liberians are sitting there, more well educated. Those who claim they have money, they're not investing. Only the foreigners are investing more money. What do you people think Liberians haven't taken the economy into their hands and into their hands from the hands of foreigners?
I believe that Liberians need to start taking risk. We are afraid of taking risk. The Lebanese man would take risk. The Indian would take risk. The Chinese would take risk. We don't want to take risk. We will always talk about it's not going to work and this is not going to happen. But other people sitting right by us and they fool us. They're sitting right by us and they're making things happen. We need to learn how to take risk and we need to learn how to work with each other.
I just wanted to look at it on another level.
Let's hear from Mr. Dennis. You wanted to go first, right? Because
I think
Go ahead.
Let me just go back to the Riyadh government. A lot of things happened in that government, and I'll go to one thing in particular that I thought. I mean, when I came to Liberia back in 2017, I had been coming for years, since 2010, and in 2017 I wanted to make that move, but I was a little bit, a little bit shifty about that at that time. But when Weah came in, and him and his people in the House took Justice Kabina Jane off the court and installed their own person there. Look, let's face it. If me, Joe Dennis, a businessman, wants to come to Liberia, there has to be at least a level. I have to feel that the playing field is level, okay? Because we know everything that happens eventually will get to that Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court is making decisions based on politics, I would not want to invest in the country. To answer your question about, I don't know what the government is doing right now, but I can give you some ideas what I think the government needs to do, what role the government needs to play. One, the government needs to build the infrastructure. Then we need roads. We need good roads. We don't need roads that when the rain season comes, it washes away. They don't need to keep repaving, putting quota over footpaths. We don't need that. We need stable electricity. We need a good fiber optics infrastructure. Okay, let me give you just a small little snippet of my last trip to Liberia in 2020. It was during COVID. My mother got a small house there in Dubaro, and I said, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll fix this house and stay here from time to time when I come. The first place I went to go buy sand. That Chinese man selling dirt to me in Liberia. Dirt you can just kick from the ground. Now the Chinese man selling that to me. I go buy steel, iron ore. That Indian man, the cement, that German company. So, I mean, all these things in Liberia that Liberians should be controlling, because these are things that we can become self-made millionaires overnight. We control no part of our economy. So these are things that I think, I don't know who's to blame for that, but maybe it is a generational problem.
No, Mr. Dennis, I think you do know who to blame for that. But
it's not government. It's not government alone.
I will come back to you on this because you said something very interesting and somewhat contradictory. But I will come back to you. Let me hear from Bishop Hager. You say you wanted to speak on this from a different angle.
Yeah, thank you very much. The first thing I wanted to let every Liberian know, to be successful in business require hard work, sacrifice, and time. Even in America here where we are, millions of businesses fail every year. I want Liberians to understand, not because you start business today. I have tried a couple of businesses in Liberia, they have failed. And that is the reality. Couple of things responsible. We have a culture in Liberia. If you are cooking the food, you should eat it at the same time. No. You have family that will come. You're the only breadwinner. You're making your business. You have your shop. Everybody's coming. Somebody is sick. This person needs this other thing, this other thing. Your capital will be sacrificed to help people. We as business people, there is no sympathy in business. If you want to succeed in business in Liberia, you have to make so many people uncomfortable. You got to make things work. Because the business, if you put your money there, you want that money tomorrow to sustain you. So Liberians cannot compete with the Lebanese. The Lebanese, from the Bible time, Lebanese have been business people, even from the Bible time. Some of these business people, you find the Razoo brother. The Razoo brother came to Liberia in 1920. When Firestone came, they were supplying Firestone with the cup. They started their business. Today, they are on Rana Street. They've been in business for almost 80 years. They understand the nature of being a generational thing. If a Liberian come today, do you think they can compete with the Razoo brother? They understand the thing. We have to understand that it's going to take time. Liberians need to change the culture of doing business. You can't be a boss. When you are making your business, you got to watch over the business, make sure it succeeds. You can't allow somebody to do it. I bought a lot of keke for people. 3,500 go to somebody. The money never came up because they want to be some kind of boss. They gave the keke to somebody, and then after 2 months, the keke spoiled. The money is up. The money is lost. We need to understand that we got to change that culture, that dynamics. We must handle our own business. We got to make the sacrifice. Don't trust anybody when you're doing business.
Thank you very much, Bishop Hager. Now, let me come back quickly to you, Mr. Dennis, and I will come back to you, I will come to you next, Mr. Boda. Now, here's the thing. When you started your position on this, you started with the diaspora Liberian had the needs to go back and invest in businesses in Liberia. Well, along that same line, you also reiterated what Bishop Hager said earlier on the show. The government has a low budget, 800 million. You said that. But then much later on, you said the government, in the other hand, which you kind of is aligned with one of our commenters, needs to provide an environment for business to succeed in Liberia. You see, the government needs to invest in infrastructure, electricity, safe drinking water, healthcare. Now, my question to you, after you said you don't know who to blame for it, because the government hasn't invested in those things yet. Has the government invested in infrastructure for businesses to succeed in Liberia? I don't think so. Now, yes, my thing is almost like not building a house and telling a person to go sleep on the land. So if you're saying here today that you don't know who to blame for it, while all of those things are not in place, but then you're still encouraging diaspora Liberian to go invest in Liberia. My question,
listen.
Mr. Baker, let me conclude. My point, it takes time for it to come, but until it comes, don't tell diaspora Liberian that you need to be patriotic to your country, to go back to Liberia and do business. And you know very well the environment there is not conducive for businesses to succeed. Everybody cannot be mining cocoa. Everybody cannot carry cocoa to Liberia. There are different businesses, options. So if you do not have those things that you think is necessary for business to succeed, don't you think it's to be very honest with the Liberian people, that the government need to take the first step here, Mr. Dennis?
So first of all, I mean, you're taking everything and lumping it into one thing that I said. I told you what I think the government needs to do. In the absence of those things, even if those things are not available, that should not be an excuse.
They should take.
Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. That should not be an excuse for we in the diaspora to go back home and invest, because some of these road contracts, some of these electrical contracts, and I'll even mention something in a separate talk. Some of these contracts that are being handed to foreigners right now, we in the diaspora, we should be in Liberia asking for these contracts. So that is my point. Even so, we don't need to have these things in place before we make that transition. Remember, you are a foreigner in this country. You know, Liberians have a strange relationship with the truth about their friendship with America. And I think that's what we need to be talking about. You know, because it's sort of like you meet your favorite celebrity at the airport. You go take a picture with this person. Then you take that picture, you show all over. You say, that man is my best friend. Michael Jordan is my best friend. When you know Michael Jordan don't really even know you. And you take that and you go brag about it like you have a real relationship with America. Derek, we are visitors in this country. I don't care what your citizenship status is. We hear Donald Trump on TV all day talking craziness about Africans. We are visitors in this country. Eventually, you will have to go back home. You will have to take that risk at some point. So why not do it now?
How about you take the initiative?
Absolutely, I am.
No, yes. Mr. Dane, let me finish.
Yes,
Whatever. Again, this is not just you though. When I say you, I'm referring to diaspora Liberian that are interested in the development of Liberia.
Mm-hmm.
Calling on this government, calling on whatever government we are to eliminate the risk instead of putting on us diaspora Liberian, because you and myself know that the environment there are not conducive. Instead of telling Liberian, go take risks, those are people hard left earning. You telling them to go take risks because that's the country.
So
call on the government. My point.
No, Derek. Let me say one thing. Let me just say one thing. Let me tell you the only risk I would ask the diaspora to commit to. That there's only one risk.
Mm-hmm.
Build a home in Liberia. That's the only, because if you can do that, you create thousands of jobs, construction jobs. That will help boost the economy. If 100,000 Liberians today, just 100,000 from all over the world, decide to build a $50,000 house in Liberia, that'll give a jolt to the Liberian. That's not a big risk. We know Liberia right now, we know it has transitioned from one president to another. It's a peaceful country now. It will
so if the atmosphere is not conducive for diaspora Liberians to invest in the economy back home, why are the aliens succeeding?
So, and I can answer that. You know, let me tell you, the problem when I hear Liberians saying they're going to Liberia to invest, we pick the lowest hanging fruit. You know, and no disrespect to what Bishop Higgins said. Indian man is not going to go take his hard-earned money and invest in keke. You got to pick. Don't pick the low-hanging fruit, and don't even forget about the extractive resources. Those extractive industry does not bring money back into the economy. It's only one way. That's a capital outflow. We need to invest in the country where the local economy is you have that money turning around inside the local economy. So the Indians, when they come, the Indians are all investing in extractive resources, and when the Lebanese, they take their money, they take it out of the country. So this is where we Liberians, if we start to build in this country, we will demand better leadership. We will not be fighting between whether Joseph Boyka is fit to lead or George Weah is coming back. If our money is invested in that, believe me, we will fight to pick the right leaders. We will not keep getting stuck with a senile person or anti-intellectual leader.
Okay. Can I say something, sir? Can I say something, sir? Yeah.
Let David ask his question. Now
Yeah, David and Derek. One thing that I've noticed about Liberian businesses, maybe you guys can give you an idea on it. Most of the business, for example, money exchange bureaus are owned by the aliens. Liberians sit on the sidewalk for many years, having his money on the table right in front on the table on the sidewalk. People passing by him with bundles of money on the table. Well, the aliens are in the house. Liberian is selling all the things on the sidewalk. They are the aliens who are in the stores. What is responsible? Why what is responsible? Why are all our businesses are on the sidewalk and there are the aliens in the stores and in all the big businesses? That's it. Is it a mentality? Is it a mentality or what?
Bishop Reeves, you said
okay. So, just hold on 1 second. Let me say this. All right. What we're dealing with in Liberia is a number of things. It is not either or. All right. I want you to know that if you take Liberia back 30 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years ago, okay, there is a generation that failed to transition properly. And because that generation failed to transition properly, you realize that a whole group of us left Liberia, went to other countries, and we stayed in America and hoping that things would change, waiting for things to change. But I tell you, things will not change because we are the change. Now,
Bishop Rich including people's mentality in Liberia.
But that is what I'm trying to tell you, that there was a generation that was supposed to transition and they didn't transition well. Okay? So it's not either or. All of us are responsible. Liberians living in Liberia is responsible. The government is responsible. Liberians in the diaspora, we are all responsible. We cannot shift the blame to one area. The government have her part to play. The common Liberians living in Liberia have the part to play. Give you an example. Now, this new government have come into power. They said, okay, let's clean the streets. Let's take the dirt off the streets. The people go ahead and take the dirt off the street. Then me, Bishop Reeves, walking or passing in the street, the people finish cleaning the thing. I went and ate, how you call it?
Banana.
Frozen yogurt, banana, frozen yogurt, sour milk. When I finished, I just threw the people, I drank a bag of water and just threw the people right back in the street. All right? I am one of contributing to the dirt in the street. I am one of those. So the common Liberian needs to stop throwing dirt in the street. The common Liberian needs to stop looking at,
and Bishop, there's a way I was talking about mentality.
I'm trying to help you. Let me finish. Let me finish. I'm trying to help you to understand that there are a number of things and there are a number of us. We can't shift the blame only in one area. The common Liberian are responsible. The diaspora Liberian is responsible. The Liberian government is responsible. All of us have a part to play. And until all of us can decide, we will play our part. We will always be shifting blame. The foreigners will always be making money off of our backs. And we will just be here for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's hear from you, Bishop Hagar, and then I will come back to you, Bishop Reed, because I do have a question.
Yo, I'm supposed to suck.
I'm sorry,
Mr. Boda is still on the show.
I apologize, Mr. Boda.
What you
go ahead.
Go ahead. No. David, you raised some very important questions.
Bishop Hagar, I have to protect Mr. Boda because he's been silent for a while now. I've given you a couple of times.
Yeah,
Mr. Boda, let me make a point. Let me go ahead and make a point. I'm sorry.
Look, let's be real, right? The problem with Liberia is that Liberians are not business people. Period. Full stop. We pretend to give all of the excuses when it comes to moving to do business or do anything that have to do our own finances. Here's the irony. When the same Liberian man who complain about all of the no water, no electricity, but he wants a job in Liberia, he doesn't think about there's no water, there's no security. He goes to Liberia for jobs, for government jobs. Okay? So let us not bring all of the excuses or no this, no that. That's a BS. Okay? The fact of the matter is, Liberian business, we don't know how to do business, period. We need to start telling, lying to people or lying to ourselves that, oh, diaspora, because how many diaspora owns an investment business in this country that you can count on that will take it over to Liberia? We all here are working in different places. We don't own businesses. We don't build our own businesses here. The see in here, you see in Liberia, the Lebanese here got pizza shop, got everything that is sell in this country, they make money. So let us not fooling ourselves as Liberian and think that, oh yeah, the problem because no water, no light. That's an excuse. That's just finding a way to stay where in our comfort zone and being happy. Okay? If we need to move, we need to make the move. So secondly, Liberian people, they take stuff to talk about the business, they want to do businesses. You cannot do business, you send few borrow to your brother and sister to open a shop. That's not who going to manage it. The person you send in the business don't know about business. And you say, oh, my business, who start business and tell somebody, go manage my business when you're not even there? That's one of the biggest mistakes we all Liberians make here. Everybody open a shop, they send it to somebody to run the business. The government, all the people you see in Liberia running businesses, they sit there, establish a business, have the business moving to some level before they can even travel. They say, okay, I'm bringing in somebody to work for me. So let us stop all the excuses. We can't do the business. Let's leave it and don't find excuses. Oh, no water, no light, no that. If we put pressure as Liberian into the country, if you bury your business, you will put government accountable because government, you have to control the government. Not only control the businesses because that's why they control government. If we take over the businesses, we will control government. And we can tell them what we want and they will have to do it.
You're muted.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me hear from you, Bishop Hagar, and then I will come back to you, Bishop Reeves and Mr. Dennis.
Well, I think Mr. Boda, Martin answered some of the things I wanted to say. Well, a serious issue, we are not business oriented. Secondly, Liberians don't know how to partner together, working together. You talk about Fuda people having the money changers shop while Liberians sitting in front there. Those Fudas, I have so many Fuda friends. They come together in partnership to rent those places. Everybody have their little table within that shop. If a Liberian guy who have a money changing place asks other money changers, say, let's get our own shop. Let's put our money together and rent a place. They will not come together. There will be confusion. There will be something that will happen. They will learn to work together. Learn to respect one another. Learn to be honest in business. Martin, when you go to Liberia, and I have so many experiences, David can attest to that. If you have money to change, if you call a Liberian board and say, I want for you to change my money, if you don't turn that money, if you get home, either $50 missing, $100 missing. But you can stay home and say $1,000, $2,000 to a fuller man. The man will bring your money correctly and not one will be missing. So who will you carry your money to if you want to change money? Somebody that will steal $50 from you or $100? The people need to understand that in life, if you're not honest, you can't move forward. And many young Liberians think that they just want to eat what they can get today. They're not thinking about building credibility that will pay dividend tomorrow. And that's the problem I have in Liberia. Everybody want to eat what they can have in their hand today. You don't want to develop. You call somebody that went to school to build house. They may have not gone through apprenticeship to learn how to build the house well. He just went on somebody 2 weeks he can build house. You call him, he messed your house up, then he want to argue with you. So until we learn excellence, until we learn credibility, we'll still be at the same level where we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bishop Hager. And before I come back to you, Mr. Reeves, and I would like to help the budgets. One of our commenter points, but I will say this: someone once told me that the reason why we get government, different presidents, different government, time after time, and they do nothing but make promises, and in the end they go to live a very lavish lifestyle and the Liberian people remain abject poverty, is because we continue to make excuses for our government. We voted them in power, then the next thing we hear is the Liberian people are the ones that are not doing what they're supposed to do. And I agree, Bishop Reeves, that everyone has a part. But the question is, who plays their part first, or is it supposed to be simultaneously? Now, to this point, though, to the commenter point, we live in an open world. We live in a developed world. We see how they do things. Again, sometimes if you don't have ideas how to move your country, use other people's ideas. We can't come up with our own way to find electricity, so we use Thomas Edison ideas that today will have lights. We see what they do in the developed world. And what I'm trying to say here, if you want small businesses to boom in Liberia, provide education on it. State-funded education on how Liberians can be good business owners and how they can flourish in business. By the way, LRT and Carrier programs that does that in the United States here. They show young people how to become entrepreneurs. Do we have that in Liberia? Can the government invest into that? Instead of us sitting here and saying, oh, Liberia are not good business people, it's not rocket science. Anybody can be good at business if you provide the necessary education. In addition to that, there's the government providing loans to small business owners. They does that here in the US. If you have a small business idea, they give you loan that you'll be able to pay back. Does the government of Liberia and does that for Liberia? So before we come here, before we get on public platform and say, oh, the Liberian people are not good at businesses, or the Liberian people, they're not trustworthy, they need to work together, how is the government playing their role?
Can I come in? Can I come in?
Succeed in business in Liberia. The government getting loan. The government provided education for them.
Can I come in? Can I come in here, Derek?
I started this and I wanted
to. Derek, can I come in here?
I wanted to conclude with asking Bishop Reeves a question. I will push you on comment or point again. Don't hold me.
If my developer don't get no loan for government, they never went to any business school, but they succeed in business. They work up for everything on government here.
Let me listen. This is when thank you for mentioning that. This is my question to Bishop Reeves. Again, I agree with you. Everybody has a role to play. But the Liberian people are in a much lesser position than the government itself. They voted this government because they felt that the government understood their plight, and they have ways, they have ideas on how to change that. I just listed a couple of ways that a couple of areas that developed world take advantage of to improve that particular sector. Speaking of business, now if you say everyone has a part, the government of Liberia, are they playing their part? Should they be playing the part after the Liberian play their part? or should it be simultaneously, or the government should take the initiative first?
Derek, I wanted to stress a point here.
Before Bishop Reeves can come in, or you want to stress the point?
Yeah, before Bishop, maybe Bishop Reeves can comment on that too. Why the thing is, Derek, you talk about giving Liberian loans, Liberian businesses loans to do business. For example, Derek, let me tell you, if somebody, one of the panelists mentioned, I think Bishop Reeves or Vega or that talk about the issue of dishonesty on the part of Liberia. Let me cite an example of Access Bank. There's a bank in Liberia called Access Bank and other money institutions that Liberians go to take loans, ask for money to do business. And after they've taken the money, they flee from Monrovia. Some of them, as I speak to you, Access Bank almost broke down because of the same dishonesty. You give it the money, aliens go there to take that money and put it into the business. Liberians go to those banks or money institutions, money lending institutions, take the money and flee. Currently, Access Bank is looking for some Liberians to take money and move into the interior with that money without wanting to pay for it. So the issue of dishonesty, Derek, is one of the issues. What do you people think about that?
I think the issue of dishonesty can be very, very.
I think Bishop Reeves.
Yeah, Bishop Reeves is up.
Thank you. Now, I'm not sure how many of you really listened to me when I started my first point. I said we have a generational issue. And there was something that should have been passed on from one generation to the next, and it was not done properly. And because it was not done properly, it has affected us big time. Let's go back to what I meant when I said generational. Liberia used to produce her own fish, package it, and send it to Norway and to Japan. Fish. Liberia had trawlers where they would go into the ocean and into our waters. And this business was spearheaded by a Liberian, the president's brother. Liberia also made her own sugar. Liberia made her own flour. Liberia brought the Laramco company to Liberia, and they were there investing and making shoes, sneakers. The one we used to with they used to fix all of that. The Parker family, a Liberian family, produced their own paint. We call Parker paint. Today, all of those places have become community names. Battery Factory is now a community name. Chicken Soup Factory is now a community name. Shoe Factory is now a community name. Parker Paint Community is now a community name. We did all of these things before. We exported before. And during those times, the rate used to be $1 to $1.50 Liberian dollar. So nobody can tell me that we have not done it before, that Liberians have not engaged in business before. Liberians have done business.
So why aren't they doing it again?
Can you let me finish?
Let's protect
Let me finish. Let me finish. I'm giving you the background. I'm giving you the background of where we came from and how the transition from one generation to the next, to the one that we're dealing with now, it was not done properly. And because it was not done properly, we have some serious issues in our country today. When the 1980 coup took place, a lot of our brains, we killed them, and the rest of the brains ran away and went to the diaspora, and went to America, went to London, went to other places. So who was it that we had left here? The system was broken. Nothing was passed on properly. So we're talking about generational issue. And because that thing took place, we have never bounced back from that generational shift. From that, we've never bounced back. Nobody, no leader has come to really put infrastructure in place so that our education has been messed up all these years. Okay? Look at our economy. Look at the leaders that we have been seen to put in place. For decades, we have learned to become corrupt. Our system has been breaking down for decades. So let me tell you something. It will not just take one president to come and change everything. Like, no, it will take all of us. It will take the government. It will take the Liberian people. It will take Liberians in the diaspora. It will take all of us to work together. And it will take us a number of years to recover this thing. But I'm telling you, the generational shift was where our problem came from, and we need to go back and work on it.
Thank you, Bishop. Thank you, Bishop Reeves. Now let's recognize the presence of Mr. Weah. I know you've been listening to the discussion, so if you would like to introduce yourself to the show and then make a point, I will
Are you
now
going to
take
give me time?
Bishop Hager. Let's recognize Mr. Weah. Just got it.
Mr. Weah, you are welcome.
We'll come
All
back
right,
to
thank you guys. Thank you, Bishop Hager. Thank you, everybody, like Joel, Daniel, and everybody. Oh well, I just listened to Bishop Reeves. But here is my take on the whole thing. For us Liberians, we give a lot of excuses.
Thank you.
That is our problem. For this other people we are in America, we see that Martin Luther King was assassinated. He was the main spokesperson for the black people. After that, something happened. But people are still coming up. They didn't say because they assassinated Martin Luther King, so they are sitting down. But what I'm saying in short is I listen to the bishop carefully. And I listened to, I think David Tabet mentioned the issue where Fulani and other people are succeeding in Liberia. The fact is, I will agree with the bishop on one end that we haven't had for a long time a leader that will summon a good behavior, that will set an example, that will provide the opportunity for fighting chance, which I always speak about. We used to the system, we as Liberians, where once we have the opportunity, it's still going on. We serve a seeming God, like everybody should follow us. We should do this in our name rather than fighting for a system to be in place that everybody will fight for to succeed. Most of the businesses the bishop talk about, I didn't see them, but I remember very well when we were in Nuku Town before the coup d'etat. There's something they used to call LPA. LPA is where people used to take loan, all the kind of stuff going on. And once we were working at that time, I think we were about 20 people living with our uncle, and his salary was $250. And that man used that money to support us. But there was a kind of level of system. Once you were working in Liberia at that time, you can go in a store and take whatever you needed. It can be building materials, it can be this LPA. I remember that very well. But right now in Liberia, also there's the other system we have in place where we see that we are entitled to certain things. We are entitled. Right now, if a friend were to ask you, if you send them something, there's something we don't know, that something that is not consistent. We see it, we blow up right away. We live false life, fake life. That's the part of the problem with all Liberians, all of us. The moment you have money, the reason why the Fulani and other people are succeeding is that they don't have big party, they don't go to club and spend money. You can do business, for example. You sell today, you make $20 as a profit, then you go in the club to drink $25 beer or whatsoever. It doesn't work. We are not willing to sacrifice. That's our problem. But in order for us to sacrifice, we need for that to start from our government, to put in place a structure. Given that, even if the government were today give out money for people as a loan, again, we are dishonest. Typical example for those of us that are here, if you send somebody money to do something in Liberia, even being a building or be any other project, there's a lot of stories. We are not willing to sacrifice. We are not willing to do anything. Everything we demand pay, and things don't fall from heaven. The entitlement policy is what it is means that killing us. Once you are in power, your entire relatives think that you are obligated to them. They think that you are responsible. It is a structure that we put in place that need to be fixed.
Thank you, Mr. Weah. Let's hear from you last, Bishop Hagar. Make your point, and then we will take our first break, and we'll come back with delve into other conversation.
Yeah, the question I just was listening to in my thought, I just forgot it, so we can move ahead.
But excuse me, Derek. There are a lot more things that we as Liberians need to remember. Let me tell you something. Our history, and that's one of the things that happened to the generational shift. All right. Everything that happened, let's come from the Tubman Talbert government. Everything that happened during those times, Talbert did a lot of things that was taking the country in the right direction. President Talbert used to be the head of the World Baptist Convention, just like how you have Pope Benedict and other people who was head of the Catholic Church. He was the head of the Baptist Church. Liberia had how do you call her? Angie Brooke Randolph, who headed the UN General Council for 2 decades. Go on Google and check it out. 2 decades, okay? And because she was in that position, when it was being voted for Israel to become a nation, it was Angie Brooke Randolph who broke the tie, because it was a tie. She broke that tie. And because she broke that tie, Israel is a nation today. And in appreciation of what Liberia did for Israel, that's how they built the executive mansion. Okay? Liberia, all the farmers that used to farm in our different counties, like Lofa and other places, we have something called LPMC, the People Liberia Produce Marketing Corporation. They brought all of their produce, and that's how produce were being shipped outside of our country. So I want you all to know that all of these things that happen right now in Liberia, you can find no book or history book that are these things that happen. So all those that was born from 1990 up to now cannot tell you what the real Liberia look like. You see? So we have all of these things that happened over the years, and it broke our system down.
I want to make
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bishop Reese. Mr. Daines, we have to take a break. And guys, if you're watching us, this is the Liberia Radio and Television Network with the Hard Zone Season 6, Episode 3. And we will take a break at this moment. And after the break, we will get into our conversation surrounding the just ended Korea Africa Summit. Just by way of information, there were 47 agreements, 12 cooperates agreement, 34 memorandum of understanding. 23 African nations benefited, and much more on this story. We will discuss that after the break. But for now, we will see you after the break.
Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is your Homo 7 Bishop Amos Hagar. I am here this afternoon with a wonderful, great announcement. The African Women for Jesus to All Nations and the Christian Community of Philadelphia invites you to a movement of African women for nation building. A day has come, the launching of the African Women for Jesus USA. A time to rewrite the story and discover the lost glory of Africa. On July the 5th to the 7th, at the Victory Harvest Fellowship International, 2536 South 59th Street in Philadelphia. Listen, the day of the official launching will be on Thursday, July the 4th at 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the afternoon at the Victory Harvest Fellowship International. We have speakers, great speakers from the UK, from Jamaica, from Nigeria, and other parts of the world. A promise to be a time of impartation. Listen, Philadelphia have never seen anything like this. African Women for Jesus to all nations, and a Christian community invite pastors, Christian church members, everyone to come to this unique and uplifting program. The flyers will give you all the details on all the programs during these 3 days, 4 days of spiritual impartation. Bishop Hager, I promise you, I will be there. And I want to personally invite you, members of the Liberian Ministerial Alliance, to come up massively, because God is visiting us. God will touch our lives. It is not time for Africa to rise up. It is not time for Africa to take its rightful place. I encourage you, encourage your church members, women groups, all of us, come, men, everyone is invited to the launch of the Africa Women for Jesus to all nations this year, 2024, July the 4th to the 7th in Philadelphia at the Victory Harvest. I will be there, and I hope to see you there. God bless you.
I cannot tell it all.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you're joining us from, you're here on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. This podcast is being streamed on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. This is the Hard Zone, episode 3 of season 6. My name is Derek Yale. I'm playing host, and I have a team of panelists here: Bishop Hager, Mr. Dennis, Mr. Bodai, Mr. Weir, and Bishop Reeves. Guys, the Korea Africa Summit, under the slogan "The Future We Make Together: Shared Growth, Sustainability, and Solidarity," signs for the 7 energy mineral deals with African countries. 23 African nations benefited from that. That agreement included 12 cooperation agreements and 34 memorandum of understanding. Just to give you a highlight of some of the African countries that benefited from that, Tanzania and Ethiopia signed loan agreement with South Korea in exchange for access to their mineral resources. Per the agreement, Tanzania will receive $2.5 billion over 5 years, while granting South Korea access to critical minerals, including nickel, lithium, and graphite. Again, Liberia President, His Excellency Joseph Yema Boakai, took a team of her delegation to that summit, and they're expected to be back in the country by the 8th of this month. And as of yet, the Liberia government has yet to announce how they benefited from that summit. What we do know of is that the president of Liberia had a bilateral meeting with the president of Korea, and wherein he gave assurances of several things. So that's all we have for now. Other the assurances from the Korean government. So I'd like to bring this discussion to all of you. our panelists to give us your take on what you think about Korea.
And maybe Derek, I can provide some information here because today I attended the Maker press briefing today at the Ministry of Information.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
the Japanese. Okay,
yes,
so
I'll come to you first, and then I will hear from the panelists. So yeah, if you're watching us, make sure we're talking about the Korea Africa Summit. You can make your contribution in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Liberia being in attendance for that summit. 23 African nations benefiting financially in other areas, and Liberia walks away with assurances as of now. But before we get to our panelists, let me hear from my co-host, Mr. Tagwe, to give us updates on this development.
yes, Derek, it's true that the president delegation will be returning on the 8th of this month. And at the news conference that was addressed by Deputy Information Minister for Administration, I guess, Daniel Sando told the news conference that the Korean government has committed to support Liberia in its development agenda, most especially in the areas of roads, scholarships, and some investment in the Liberian economy. And so I guess that's what the Liberian government and the president is bringing back, according to the Deputy Minister for Information today at the NICA regular press briefing. Because that same question is still same concerns were raised at that press briefing, and Mr. Sando provided that information that was a good news. The Korean government has committed itself to support the Liberian economy in the area of agriculture, education, and roads infrastructure. I just decided to provide that information.
Thank you very much for providing that information for us. I think that's going to help the conversation here tonight. I would like to start with you, Mr. Bolden. 23 African nations benefiting. Commitment to Morocco, Ghana, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Madagascar, signing trade and investment promotion framework agreements with other African nations. Now, my question to you, Liberia walks away with the very same thing the former president used to walk away with when he makes trips around to travel other Liberia: promises and assurances. I want you to talk to the Liberian people on the image of the government as it is right now, or as of now, not being able to beg any type of agreement or memorandum of understanding from that summit. And needless to mention, this is the guy that the Liberian people believe to have the vast experience in these kind of things. So, and he spent taxpayer money go to that summit. He came back with assurances. We know what those things are. They are not agreements. They are just assurances. And again, I want for you to talk to make your point on that, Mr. Bolden.
So yeah, here's the issue. Liberia is more like if you have a bad credit. First of all, you go to every business, they tell you, let me run your credit. Okay. We have the tendency and the issue of doing business as usual. If you look at our Liberian history, every president that come in want to build road, want to build infrastructure. We've been to all of these countries that you're talking about. We've been to all these summits. It will submit the same document with the same proposal of what we want to do, how we want to do it. And you come to realize money was sent to our Liberian government in the past, not the WIA government, not the Eden government, before where we are now. And all of these things are on record of what we have been asking for. If you look at all of our pattern of requests, and we stay in the same state where we are from over 30, 40, 50 years ago. When you and I were not, some of you were not born, or some of you were not born here at the time, when Liberia was still looking for loan. So when you go to these conferences, the people look at your track records. They have make business with you. They want to see in the pattern. So you're not just going to make the move that people who have changed their life, the other country you're talking about. When you see where they came from and where they are now. We're not in the same place. So they're going to have a better negotiating deal. They're going to have better chances than us because why? They manage their resources very well. The money that they've been given them, they can show forth what was done with the money, and they have moved ahead. So it's not that government is weak or the president is weak, but they got to watch you first. They're going to have to watch the government, how to spend money, what they're going to do, how they're managing their own resources. And that's going to take you another year. I think how they come, we'll talk about it in our last episode here when we were having elections.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
not
you.
going to change. So that's
Thank
why
you.
you see that bro got in promises and stuff, and other people got money.
Thank you, Mr. Buddha. I think you can see the timer behind me. We're running to the very end of the show. So I'm only allotting a minute and 30 seconds for you to make a point. So let's hear from you, Mr. Weah. The government of Liberia, as of now, only assurances and promises from the Korea Africa Summit. Give us your take on that.
I think when you look at the Western world, they do not have friends. They have interest. Looking at America as well. So like what I was saying, even though people want to help you, but how are you helping yourself first? You got to show something. Which is the problem we always face with. No system. There is no trial record. There is no system in place to measure your progress, for people to internalize what you're really going to do if you were to receive the money, or what have you done. How do you manage your own resources, the little meager resources you have? As I said earlier, we end up spending more money than what we even earned. That is a problem. So the international community watching the new government, in my opinion, they want to see which framework. It's like making a project proposal. When you make the project proposal to any of the donors, whatever, they look at it, they got to analyze it properly. They will send you back again to pinpoint something that you got to do again. I think that's what's going on with the Liberian government, in my opinion.
Thank you very much for that. But let me ask you a question. I'll give you 30 seconds to answer that question. This is a new administration, though. It should come with some level of trust from our international partner, especially given the resume of the president, President Bouaka. He's a man of integrity. The question is, do you think that would have helped Liberia, given the fact it's a new administration, is a very reputable person for the Korea government or whatever international partner to extend some type of aid to Liberia instead of just promises and assurances?
But there is one of clarification. That similar question was asked the Deputy Minister of Information, and in fact, it was the same answer that was provided during the last meeting in the United States, in Dallas specifically. And what there was, in fact, that was the same insinuation. That was the same thing most Liberians, most very opposition is saying, that monies were given to countries, but they did not give Liberia money. So sometimes these kind of platforms, it's not about saying it that other countries receive monies and Liberia did not receive money. Sometimes it's good to provide the sources of this kind of information for the credibility of our network. I mean, because those countries are not intended to distribute money to countries. They're intended for the countries. They're represented like the presidents to go and showcase their countries as to why investors come to invest in their countries. That's the explanation the government information ministry has been provided since the first meeting in the United States in Dallas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Let's get back to you, Mr. Weah. On the question that I asked you, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not a question of honesty. It's not a question of being good. It's a question of system and structure. As I was saying, like even like if you do any project proposal, all the donor countries or any donor agent, they have requirement. You got to meet certain criteria to make sure that the benchmark is set up. So if you do your proposal to them, they will look at it and say they will send it back to you that it need X, Y. They want for you to explain more how it's going to be done. I work with the state too. I know what. Yes, you wrote it. It looked nice, but when in terms of implementation, how are we going to show that this is happening on point B? What time? They need a time frame. How are we going to measure progress? And
Thank you.
what have you done? They need an example. They need a template. What have you done previously to for such money? How you gonna be different from those who failed from the past? So
Thank you.
that
Thank
is,
you.
I think they
Thank
need
you.
that clarification too. Yeah, in my opinion, I don't know what that is, but that's not happening with the Liberian government.
Thank you very much, Bishop Hagan. Let's hear from you.
Well, thank you. Listen, I really wanted to contribute here, but since you guys are politicking on everything, let me just say this to you. The Korean African Summit has its root in the following. Remember this. The participation of Ethiopia and South Africa forces in the Korean War. When South Korea and North Korea were fighting, Ethiopia sent forces to help South Korea. South Africa sent forces. In the 50s, when Korea wanted to expand its diplomatic relationship with Africa, they started to have summit. The foundation that had this summit started in 2018. And listen to me. If you go back, because you're a serious and reputable news organization, go back to the first summit and find out whether Ethiopia benefited anything. Come back to this 2024 summit and compare the countries that benefited in 2018 to the country that benefiting today. Listen to me. Don't come here and start politicking. This is a set agenda. The people have meeting. They look at the different areas and where they will prioritize resources. Liberia went there, invited to showcase where Liberia is. 2 years from now, another summit is coming, looking at the feasibility, looking at what Liberia has now. There will be new development. So stop politicking here.
What is the politics? That's the same thing. You are saying exactly what I just said.
It was not a Joseph Boakai that went and said Korea can't give us money. It's not what the summit is about. You guys need to be serious. You need to be serious. And stop politicking here.
It's not politics.
Bishop Hagan, I'll give you opportunity for you and Mr. Weir to rebuttal. I'll give the opportunity for you and Mr. Weir to rebuttal. But
go to the 2018 summit. Whether Liberia did not benefit. They come back and compare to this year.
I want to understand your point though, because you mentioned a couple of countries that, in my opinion, that from what I understand, you're saying that they have helped Korea one way or the other. So they are not benefiting.
The whole summit started, engagement with Africa started as appreciation for Ethiopia sending forces to help South Korea in the Korean War. And so Africa sent forces.
And I started by saying they don't have friends, they got interest. That's what I started with, right?
That's what I'm saying. So if Liberia went there this year and there was no memorandum of understanding signed to say Liberia getting money, they not mean Liberia did not get money in 2018. Other countries did not get it. This year's summit, it was prioritized a certain group of people. Why are you making politics all of this? That every summit Liberia go to them and sign memorandum of understanding.
No.
Two points.
I think you are misquoting me, sir.
2 points, Bishop Hagan. The first point, let's not forget that this trip is being paid for by taxpayer money. Let's not forget that. And what I'm trying to say is, Liberia got no real interest with Korea, like you're saying, or they haven't helped Korea in any ways.
So the president shouldn't go.
Let me finish.
Showcase.
I said I want to make.
We are going to reap dividends.
I said I want to. Bishop Hagan.
Thank you very much, man. I'm done. I'm done. You go right ahead.
No, you can't be done. You got.
Can I make a point? Derek, can I make a point here?
I'll come to you, Mr. Dennis, but I want for because Bishop Hagan to address that. I'll give you a minute to just allow me to ask you the question.
Africa have 51 countries, a 23 benefit a year. What's a big deal on that? What mean?
Well, let me make a point, man.
I want Bishop Hagan. You got to protect me so I can ask you my question. Okay. Here's the thing: 23 nations benefit. Wait, this is not the issue. The issue I'm raising here is this trip is being paid by taxpayer money.
But
If
Derek,
you pay
though,
for tax, let me finish. With no real benefit in Bishop Hager, here's another
When
thing.
you talk about no real
With
benefit,
listen.
what about
Bishop
no
Hager,
real benefit?
Bishop Hager,
What
Bishop
about
Hager,
no real benefit?
I protect you. Are you
Stop
gonna?
that thing. Stop
Are you,
politicking. You
let me
playing
ask
the
you.
That's my
same
point,
narrative
Bishop
of the
Hager.
CDC.
No.
What about no real
Bishop
benefit?
Hager, let me ask you this question though. Just yesterday, I know you want to
But
divert
Derek,
this.
ask the question now. You got to ask the question. You can't be.
He's not protecting me.
No,
That's the
but
thing.
ask the question
Bishop
because you go
Hager,
around, you beating around the bush. Ask your question.
just yesterday, when former President Weah traveled out of the country, you wanted to see tangibles. You wanted him to
Because he spent 45 days to watch his son playing football. That's why you wanted me to talk about.
You wanted
45 days to see his son playing football.
I'll just you don't want me to ask
Bishop,
the
let me
question.
mention.
No.
Mr. Dennis, make a point. No,
Man.
you don't want me to ask.
Derek, let
me make a point. I mean, and Derek, it seems like you're trying to create some controversy here, but let me make a point. Africa is one of the old. I speak of Africa as the oldest civilization as we know, according to history. Isn't it about time, though, we stop going to these other countries to beg? Even Africa as a whole, it's not an achievement. I want you to understand it. This is not an achievement for Joseph Boyka to go and beg for welfare and come back and say, look what I brought. This is not an achievement. At some point, Africans have to come together and start going to their own capitals to get this money. This is not, don't, this frame of reference that you're using is as an, it's an achievement. Ethiopia has achieved. Let me tell you one of Liberia's achievement. And I don't know where that investment is today. We signed a 100-year deal with Firestone in 1925. I'm sure the pundits at that time was bragging. Oh, we got that. Where is that Firestone deal today? ArcelorMittal, we've gotten deals in the past. Where has it gotten us as Africans? Ethiopia got deals with China. Zambia got deal with China. When the Zambia didn't pay the bills, the Chinese came and took over the airport. So we can't be using this and saying this is an achievement. This is not an achievement. If Joseph Boyka didn't get nothing, maybe he went there to build a relationship, because that's all he's going to get today. It's a relationship. That's it.
Well, the point was not, it was expected of Boyka to come back from the summit with something. There are other African nations there. There were other international organizations
begging as usual.
That did not get anything. It's only 23 nations that benefited. There were more than that at the summit. But the question here is the question.
Derek, let me inject a point before you.
Listen.
Derek, is this summit about? Is this summit all about getting something from South Korea?
Seriously?
No, that's not that's
getting a welfare check.
I don't think
is that the sole purpose of the summit?
To get a welfare check?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So can I make my point now? Because and this one will go back to Bishop Hager again. Let's not forget about yesterday. You knew this very thing yesterday when President Weah were going for summit. Again, these summits are not for you to go there and get something in your pocket. But earlier on this year, let's not forget, y'all talk about the government not even having money in the first place. Now you're spending money you don't have and you benefit absolutely nothing from that. Now, I understand Mr. Dennis said like we're trying to build a relationship with Korea. What I'm pinpointing here is 23 African nations benefited from that summit. I'm not saying the purpose of that summit was for them to benefit. Mozambique must have been doing something good. Must have been doing something good in the country that they will get the agreement to have transformer worth $30 million.
But Derek, one thing we have to keep in mind. Some of the Derek, let me let anyone. Derek, baby.
Go ahead.
Some of the summit, look, some of the benefits are not instantaneous. They can come later. They are long-term benefits. Sometimes those benefits can be immediate, like Mr. Dennis said, that you build a relationship. The fact that Liberia was represented at that conference, the relationship, maybe the benefit will come later on. Some of the benefits can be instantaneous. It can be long-term.
I totally agree with your point. Again, to you, Bishop Hager, Mozambique must have been doing something good. to get a transformer sent to their country worth over $30 million. Now, what I'm saying, we have a new administration, and this man with vast experience in the public space. What can he look at Mozambique or Ghana or Morocco that goes to this summit and comes away with something? Can he craft something that, like, bro, will not just keep going?
Listen, the
Mozambique
president, the Mozambique government that went there, that Mozambique
Derek,
government been there
Derek,
for 5 years in
Derek,
power.
Derek,
The
get
Ghana president been there for over 5 years in power. They've been working up with this negotiation. So the summit was just to showcase that the negotiation have reached a fruition. This government just came in 5 months. You don't expect the government to compete with Mozambique, whose president been there for 5 years in power, or Ghana, who been there for 4 years. Now, what you tell it, man? You got to make your research. Don't come here and start.
Reverend Hagar, just the thing I want to tell you and Derek. I think Dennis said and Joe said it right. Africa is too old that we always, and this is a pattern of African nation and African as a whole. For every institution we go to, we go there with an agenda, not contributing, but to get some, to go hand for hand, you know, and that is just terrible. You know, summit, I think what we'll be expecting is we're going there. The president went to Korea. Maybe he negotiate for business partnership, for other things that you can benefit, not to get physical cash. You know, we don't need to always go to conferences to get. They say, oh, we'll get $20 million. What is in the $20 million or $50 million? There is a caveat in that million they're going to give you. There's no country going to give you, no European country giving money free. There's always something behind it, the underlying factor that they're going to get that money back. It's no free money, no free lunch. No free lunch. So Africa should get away from the mentality where we're always going to all the conferences. We go there, we always wanting to get money to bring home. It's just not, and get away from the campaign war. Have a conversation.
I will come back.
I don't like the idea of people saying campaign. Government is about politics, whether you like it or not. So it's not about campaign, it's not about politics. What I would agree with Brother Dennis there is that, look, aside from Liberia, we Africans, we're not serious. I don't want to divert the attention from what we are doing. Like, if for example in West Africa, if we agree to be an institution, to say this institution of learning, that people who are good in a place, the government will be responsible to build the institution. In 10 years or 20 years, Africa will be able to invent something. But we haven't come with that kind of thinking that in Africa, we got resources, natural resources than any other continent on the planet. Why is it that we are always backward? And the only thing we lack in Africa is the knowledge to make our product into finished product for people to buy. But we got the resources. How do we make that into finished product? Unless Africa come up with that kind of thought process or put it in place that, look, we can invest and train Africans to be able to do something, will still be at the same level.
Thank you, Mr. Weah. And guys, let me just say a couple of things, right? First of all, let me just reiterate Mr. Thack's point. We all can agree that it was great for Liberia to be represented on that stage. It builds relationship. That's a good thing for the country. The other thing I would say to Bishop Hagar and Mr. Boda is the contradiction. Don't take this the wrong way. The hypocrisy, because just yesterday, President Weah traveled to America. He met and President Biden and other world leaders. When he came back, what did he bring to the country? What did the country benefit? President Weah traveled out of the country to Europe, to France. What did he bring to Liberia? Did you not think about the relationship he was building when you're criticizing for not coming back with any real benefit from those countries? Now, all of a sudden, because it's President Bouaka, who, by the way, y'all told us have vast experience how to get the maximum out of these type of events. When he come back today, I'll say, "Oh, those events are not for collecting bread. It's not going to get money." When did you get to know that?
Derek,
I want you to address that. When did you realize that these events are not just for getting benefit, but instead building relationships?
all right, that's a point. That's a point you need to understand. Okay, President Boakai has been in office for 5 months. Okay, so give Mr. Boakai 3 years into his term, after he had done all of these visits that he gone every his first years, and if you don't see any dividend, then we can have this conversation.
I've heard that songs before. I've heard that song before.
Listen to me, George. Listen to me, George. We are when 6 years he left the country. They're not bringing one investor for all of his visit to Europe. He played football. His connections there. There's not one company that you, Derek, can attest to on this news, on this platform, that Mr. Weah brought back home to his connections.
The administration said it needed 12 years.
So
when does it stop?
6 years he was there. So what I'm saying to you here is Mr. Boakai is just going out there now to sell his government his agenda, what he has in plan, what he want to do for Liberia, and those are conversations he's having. So when he have done this conversation after 3 years, and you don't see anything, then we can now say, oh yeah, he went and get taxpayer money. Just we are giving time. He went all around the world. He did not bring back not one company that was brought into Liberia during his 6 year term.
And I will give you the opportunity, Mr. Dennis, and then you'll give you the last opportunity. We'll take a break and then draw the curtain into this episode. Mr. Bodan, the previous administration argued that, and you can agree because you said this on the show multiple times, government is about continuity. They said they needed 12 years to fulfill their agenda. You kind of singing the same song right now and say they meant President Boakai. The time difference, I understand, but you kind of singing the same song right now, saying that they need more time. He just got in government 5 months ago. For the sake of the Liberian people, Mr. Buddha, when does this end? Let's hear from you, Mr. Dennis, and then we'll take a break after we give you last opportunity to draw the curtain.
So I beg you, as a moderator and a future leader in the country itself, maybe in journalism, don't reduce the discussion to a competition between who goes to America and Europe and bring back a welfare check. It's the success. A successful president in Liberia is way bigger than if you go to Europe and beg and get on your knees. They will give you money. Don't reduce us to that. I beg. That is not something you can count as a success. You look at the totality of what George Weah did from the start of office to the time he left. We can look at that in an aggregate way. And Joseph Boakai should be judged in the same way. But we should never look at what George Weah did as president and make that a standard to be measured by. Once you turn that into your frame of reference as how you would judge Joseph Boakai, trust me, Joseph Boakai does not need to do nothing. George Weah performed poorly. There is no doubt about that. He performed poorly. So don't make this discussion about who can go out and beg for welfare check and bring it back to Liberia, because we know that has not benefited Africa at all. All the people you talking about transformer, in 3-5 years, some of those transformers will be sitting there not even working. Okay? That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go for break, let me just say this, Mr. Dennis. Oh, I'm not reducing the show at all. I did not start this conversation. I wasn't the one that ran away from the facts and the real benefits of this summit, and told the Liberian people that President Weah are supposed to bring back stuff and bring back things from.
But that's what you're doing.
No. Let me
speak about the future.
I protected you though.
Speak about the future.
One thing I will agree with you on. All of the numbers, the data from Liberia during the previous administration, kind of is directed to the fact that President Weah failed the country. I'm not here to defend President Weah or defend the administration. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Liberian people. When Mr. Boda said yesterday that when President Weah go out of the country, he's supposed to bring back a real benefit for the Liberian people. Today, Mr. Boda shouldn't make excuses for Mr. Bouaka. So no, I'm not the one reducing the conversation to that. Because guess what? If we weren't making those excuses, if we were saying these things for what they actually are, like Mr. Takper said, building relationship, even if you don't come out with agreement or memorandum of understanding, your country presence over there, build relationship with other international partners. If you speak that to the Liberian people, regardless of what administration it is, then the conversation will not be reduced. I'm just here to talk for the Liberian people.
So did Mr. Boda make that within 5 months of George Weah being president? Did he make the statement within 5 months of George Weah being president?
The point apparently.
No, I'm asking you. Answer the question. It's a yes or no question.
I asked the question.
But then you are reducing the conversation.
Just to clarify, before we take the break again, you gotta, maybe you misunderstand my point. You got to understand,
I understand
that when Mr. Boda said the man been in power for just 5 years, I understand the time difference. And what I said to him was, we heard the same thing in the previous administration. It's just 3 years. It's just 4 years. For the sake of the Liberian people, Mr. Jim, this is not an argument between you and myself. This is me just reminding Mr. Boda of what was said yesterday. But I understand the time difference, 5 months, 3 years.
Your frame of reference is wrong. It's wrong.
But what I'm saying to you is we are going to serial visits across the world. I told you that. All of the visits he made did not yield any investment that you can tell of. There's no investment with the Liberian. I'm not talking about money going to the country. How many companies George we have brought from Europe that he plays soccer in?
Thank you very
much. Even sporting soccer, even sporting something. Did he bring one from that to Liberia?
Thank you very much, Mr.
And Mr. Bouaka just brought in 200 yellow machines. 200 yellow machines in Liberia. You saw that, right?
Mr. Boda, thank you very much. And
in 5 months, 200 yellow machines.
We will take our final break. And when we come back, when we come back from our final break, I will give you guys the opportunity to wrap up on this episode. But again, this is the hard zone. That's what we do here. Is hard. It's real talk, no gimmick, no fluff. And we are here every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and we are at the very end of this show. So let's take a break. When we come back, we will give our panelists the opportunity to close on this episode. Welcome back, ladies.
No lady tonight, though.
Who's that?
Hello. Oh, welcome back.
Somebody put in porn.
Hello. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're here, season 6, episode 3. We are at the very end of this show tonight. So we will again give our panelists the opportunity now to give their closing remark on this episode. And guys, to all of you watching us, thank you for the support. To you esteemed panelists, it's always appreciated when you give your contribution on this platform. You get behind the microphones and behind your camera or webcams to speak on behalf of the Liberian people and of your understanding of how things should be. So with that being said, I would like to start with Mr. Boda. I begin with you, and I will end. Actually, I will take you last because I started with you. That's what I wanted to do. So let me start with Mr. Dennis.
Yeah, well, thanks everybody for the show tonight. Like I stated earlier, Derek, I think there is definitely a generational thought process here and ideas. I don't think we should ever go back into comparing the inferiority of the past president. I think we should look at the future, all of us. I mean, we have a benefit from any president doing good for Liberia, because if that president succeed, we all succeed. And that was even with George Weah. I wanted George Weah to succeed, because if he succeeds, Liberia succeeds. I have no interest in politics in the country. I zero. I mean, I have become a U.S. citizen. I am a proud U.S. citizen, but I love Liberia. I would love to live in a country outside of politics. With that said, I do want the country to be better. I want Liberia to grow. I want it to prosper. I want to raise my children there. So I'm looking forward to a much better Liberia, and I don't want to compete with these ideas of inferiority. You and I, Derek, we need to think bigger, better. How can we build this country? How can we make the country better for all of us? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dennis. Let's now hear from you, Mr. Weah, and then I'll take Bishop Reeves next.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Thank you, fellow panelists. I think we should all agree, that Liberia is for all of us. Whether we are naturalized here in America, we still got Liberia at heart. And for those of us, or for those of you who are running campaign for this government, I want for you to understand that the government is accountable to the Liberian people. The people of Liberia have the right to question whatever they do, wherever they go, because that's what the Constitution says, specifically Article 1. So we should all be level-headed. When the government is being questioned, don't describe your friends as being political, because government itself is politics. And the Liberian people demand to know whatever the government does. When you make a trip, the purpose of the trip, what is the intended benefit? We need timeline, whatever the government wants to do. Why are you doing this? What should we expect? Don't need to see the benefit right away, but we need the information to anticipate, so that when the time comes, if we don't see this, then we'll say, oh, you thought this thing was going to happen. I think this is a problem we are continuing to make. We are not communicating. We want for the government to know that it is working for the Liberian people. It should not be the other way around as always. They are not seeming God. They are our employees. We hire them. They are obligated to us. We are the boss. It should not be the other way around. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Weah. Now let's hear from you, Bishop Reeves, and I will allot you more time because you disconnected for the previous discussion. But give us your closing. You're on mute.
I'm sorry. In closing tonight, it's always a pleasure to be on this show, to express my views and to listen to the views of others. Liberia is where I am. Liberia will always be on my heart. And I want all of you to know tonight, and remember this, there has been a generational shift. And we need to go back and look at our country. We need to look at where we have our problems, where we have our issues, and we need to come together as Liberians to deal with our issues. The young generation now needs direction. We need leadership. We need proper leadership. We need to provide leadership. Liberians, we need to fight and stop looking at what we don't have and look at what we have. Look at what we can do. Look at the possibilities of becoming a millionaire in Liberia if you engage yourself in business. Look at the possibilities of Liberians putting themselves together, forming teams, networks, and coming back to Liberia and building our country through agriculture, through tourism, building our country through real estate. Okay, there are so many different areas that we can put our network together. Look, it won't cost Liberians anything for Liberians in the diaspora to say, look, let's form a mining company. Let's put a mining company together. We have enough gold. We have enough diamonds. Let's go and mine. We have enough oil. Liberians can do that. Liberians can take over the economy again like it was in time past. And just as it was during the Toma regime, we know that we still have qualified Liberians who live in the diaspora. We have people who have PhD in cybersecurity. We have Liberians who are in UK. We have Liberians all over these places here. We can come back and take hold of our country. This glorious land of liberty shall long be ours. And in union strong, we will always have success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bishop Reeves. And to those of you watching us, that's all we have for you tonight. I know you're looking at me. Let's get a closing remark. Mr. Buddha, let's go.
Buddha, who you in contempt?
Let him drop. Look, I can agree with all of us more on what we all have said. Liberia needs all more, especially the diaspora. And the good thing about it is we have getting Liberia is represented across the broader spectrum of our country, unlike the past, where there were very minute of our population that had the opportunity to travel to come to see what the outside world looked like. But today, every sub-political division in our country is now represented in the diaspora, being in America, Europe, wherever you may find yourself. So, and we have a lot of, many exposures to different societal, different work environment, what it means to have a company, what it's work, and so forth. So we need to engage, that we all have said, to take over our economy. We can't, government cannot fix this all. If we sit and wait for government, we're not going to move any further. We have to hold government accountable. We have to put government feet to the fire. How do we do that? You have to have the economic capital. When you have investment, you hold government down. Look at America, the great United States of America. What makes government accountable is, you talk about what, the top 114 companies in America. They control Washington, D.C. They're pushing around. They'll tell them where they want to move and why they want to move. We can do the same thing at diaspora Liberia. If we are committed and serious and willing to rebuild our country, we can hold our government down. Because once you have the exposure, you have the company, you have the resources, you build your country, the representative will be in your hand because you will control the district because you have the economic power. So let us talk to our people, let our diaspora, let us just start talking the sweet talk and walk the walk. Not just going to look for a job. It's shameful when you leave from here, you say you're making 6 figures, and you're running to Liberia, running behind ministry job, looking behind director job, all over the city. Like I saw when I went for inaugural something, people lingering all around the president's house, sitting there all day in the sun trying to get a job. That's just mean to yourself. I mean, what do you want to leave here and bring yourself to that level? You work here, you make money. So let us, that's my advice to all of Liberians in the diaspora and whom, let's build our country. Nobody will build Liberia ourselves. We have to build it. If we don't take an initiative, we will keep talking the same conversation, we'll leave it, and our children will come and see the same thing. So thank you guys, and appreciate the show tonight. Hope to come back next week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Buddha. Let's hear from you now, Mr. Takwe.
Well, all I can say, Derek, is to thank the panelists for their unwavering commitment, most especially Jawinken, Mr. Buddha, Reverend Reeves, Reverend Yega, and now Mr. Dennis. In their absence, we cannot run the network. They are very precious to the network, most especially for the program. That's what makes it.
Thank you very much to all of you esteemed panelists. Thank you very much to all of you esteemed panelists for your contribution on this show tonight. And we are at the very end. And to all of you watching us, we will be back here Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you join us next week for another intriguing, interesting conversation here on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. If you haven't already done so, please make sure you're following us on Facebook, YouTube, and our Instagram. Well, for now, it's been a really, really, really great time here tonight. Thanks to all of you again. And until next week, Thursday at 7 p.m., I would like to wish all of you a pleasant good evening.
Thank you.
Session se bem mo e getting labor se bem mo kekele I can't you we kekele I can't boy we kekele I can't you we kekele so kokolo so